This is music, and this is a song ranking video. Once again, I have to apologize to Nasty Boy Scott from the No Solution channel for my lame YouTube thumbnail. Uh, I'm still experimenting with videos you don't normally see on this channel. Last time I tried my hand and failed miserably at an album ranking video as I ranked the discography of studio albums by Metallica. This time I'm going to try kind of a related genre. I'm going to try my hand at the song ranking video. I have the same reservations. The reason why you don't see song ranking videos on this channel is that very often when I have an album I listen to, there'll be like groups of songs I like equally much. And I will often have, more favorite songs from the album. And if I were to kind of rank the songs individually in some kind of hierarchy, I would have to start looking at details that actually don't matter to me as a justification for why I like this song a little bit more than that song. So it all becomes very, very artificial to me. I do like watching song ranking videos because it's interesting to hear people's thoughts on the songs on the album, and it's especially interesting when they're like differing opinions from my own. I find that super interesting because music is subjective, taste is subjective. So there you go. I decided I'm going to try to rank album by album, or really mini album by mini album, all the songs on the three first Band-Maid studio albums or mini albums. And that's because those albums are not talked about as often by Band-Maid fans. They're not held in high esteem. Some people even dislike them. Some people even hate them because they were from an era when Band-Maid were under a particular management who wouldn't allow them to use songs that they wrote themselves. So they had external songwriters, and a lot of people have a hard time with that. They don't like that. Um, I think it is a bit problematic, to be honest, but I do think those three uh, first mini albums, I think they're good. I like them. I think they're good songs on there. And I think they're important in the history of the band, and I think they do deserve more attention. So that's why I decided to um, rank mini album by mini album songs on those first studio albums. And that means that we're going to start with probably the least favorite album by most Band-Maid fans, 2014's Maid in Japan. This is a weird album. It doesn't sound at all, or at least barely sounds like Band-Maid. Even the guitar tone is off, and it's quite clear that the songwriters that were brought in didn't really understand the band, didn't really know what to do with the band, and um, so it is kind of an odd album. But you know what? I don't think it's a bad album. I find it an entertaining and enjoyable album, if I'm being completely honest. And I did listen to these three mini albums, of course, and again, in preparing for this video. And just off the bat, I have to say, this time around, I actually liked Made in Japan much more than I normally do. I don't listen to it that often. I always kind of liked it, but I liked it much more this time. And if I remember, I'll get to it after I've ranked the songs. But let's get going. At the bottom, in the eighth place, you got Evergreen. It's not a bad song. It's a fine song. It's a bit of a pop rock song with some pop punk elements to it. You got some catchy vocal melodies, and you have a simple and catchy lead guitar melody, kind of a theme. Uh, but it's also maybe a little bit cheesy, and that's the only reason why it appears at the bottom. It's not even bad. It's just that lead guitar melody. Sometimes I think it's fun. Sometimes I think maybe it's cheesy. That's it. That's why. Uh, on the seventh place, you got "Knockin' on Your Heart." I think it's kind of at the same level. I like it just as much as Evergreen. It's a fun pop punk song with some ska elements. You got some pretty good vocal melodies in the pre-chorus and in the chorus, but the reason why I rank it a little bit above Evergreen is that the bridge is very interesting. It's actually very well structured, and it kind of increases in intensity, which makes it a little bit more interesting of a song to me. So that's why it's in the seventh place. In the sixth place, above that, you have Before Dawn, also known as Yuake Mae, I think, in Japanese. Um, it's also kind of a pop rock song with a slight punky feel to it. And when I say punk, we're not talking dirty punk when it comes to Band-Maid. We're talking more like polished pop punk, okay? Um, it also has some super catchy vocal melodies in the chorus. But the reason why it ranks above the two other songs is that I really like the vocals, the vocal performance, the singing in this song. It's great. So that's why it's in the sixth place. In the fifth place, so now we're getting towards the middle of this ranking list. You got a song called Key. This is a bit of a hard rocker. Uh, you got some heavier riffs. Maybe this is the song with the heaviest riffs overall on this mini album. You have some really good vocal melodies, and it is somewhere in between pop rock, alternative rock, and hard rock. And I think it's this mix that makes it a little bit heavier than the other songs I've ranked so far. That's why it's above those, sort of towards the middle. Uh, you got By My Tears, that's in the fourth place. This is it has kind of a darker, more brooding and kind of ballady opening, because so it sets it apart a little bit from the other songs so far in that sense. Uh, I also like the back and forth on the lead vocals between Saiki and Kobato. It's a little bit hard on those first couple of releases to tell the difference between them. Um, I don't know why, it just is for some reason. But I think there's a back and forth going on between them, and I like that. Uh, the reason why this song um, ranks above Key and Before Dawn and Knocking on Your Heart and Evergreen, uh, the reason why By My Tears is in the fourth place and not the fifth place, say, is that in the chorus you got your Japanese disco drum beats. I've grown very fond of those. Whenever I hear them, almost whenever I hear them in a Japanese rock or metal song, I get a kick out of it. That's why it ranks in the fourth place. Also, you got some pretty nice guitar harmonies in the background in the verse, adding some interesting texture. That's another factor I think in it being in the fourth place. And you got a nice simple guitar solo. Uh, in the third place, you got Forward. That's a bit of a pop rock song. This one also has, I think, back and forth on the lead vocals between Saiki and Kobato. Um, this is in the third place for two reasons. First of all, you got some fantastic vocal harmonies and vocal melodies, I should say, in the chorus. And I think it has the best guitar solo on the album. At least when I listened to it again this time to prepare for it, I thought it was the best guitar solo. Fantastic song. Um, in the second place, this might be controversial. I don't know. You actually have Big Dad in the second place. Is this the best song on the album? I don't think so. It's probably one of the least good songs on the album, but it ranks in the second place because to me, it's also the most memorable song on the album, and that has to count for something. It's kind of a kawaii-esque song. It's a Kobato song. Her voice sounds very untrained in this song, which I kind of like actually. She goes off key in some places, and it just adds a bit of authenticity to it. You can hear that she hasn't really found her Kobato kawaii-ness yet in this song. That also makes it a little bit interesting. So yeah, Big Dad in the second place. In the first place, by far, in my opinion, the absolute best song on this album, hands down, if you ask me. Also the opening track, Be Okay. It's a fun, high energy, uplifting hard rock song. It has a very catchy chorus with a lot of hello, everybody, hello, and that's always fun. There's a lot of hello going on. There's even like a coda with people singing hello in vocal harmonies, and it has a very recognizable main riff. To me, "Be Okay" is the best song on the album. Now, like I think I said, I listened to this album a couple of times to prepare for this video, and I liked it more than I normally do. Um, and I think it's because for some reason the vocals really took me this time. I really liked the vocals. I like the quality of Saiki's voice. Maybe it's because it's a little bit more raw. She's a little bit less experienced of a singer. Maybe it's the quality, the production on her voice. It's very in your face too. It's very at the front of everything. I don't know what it is, but the vocals really kind of got me hooked in even more this time. I think that's why I enjoyed the album so much this time around. The vocals, for some reason, it just clicked with me even more this time. So that was Made in Japan. Let's move on to New Beginning from 2015 and rank the songs on this mini album. Starting at the bottom, you got in the ninth place Arcadia Girl. It's actually a very good song, I think. You got a very groovy main riff. I actually think it's a great, simple but groovy riff, and you have a very nice kind of build up in intensity throughout the first verse. You got a fantastic chorus with super catchy vocal melodies and nice vocal harmonies. Um, and you have a very, very nice kind of melancholic bridge, which kind of changes things up a bit. And there's a very cool guitar section. The only reason, and this is a super bad justification, the only reason it's at the bottom is that you got electronic drum beats in places. And it's a dumb reason because they kind of serve the song, but you know, that's why it's at the bottom. And it's not even a bad song. In the eighth place, you got Freeze. That's a super groovy song. It's a hard rock song. You got some funky elements, and that's what I actually like about some of those early Band-Maid releases, the funky parts. Um, you got like some really cool back and forth in the chorus here on the vocals, which I quite like. And you got kind of like a slow disco drum beat as well in the chorus, so I'm a sucker for that. So there you go. You have a quite unusually long guitar solo for a Band-Maid song, so that makes it a little bit special too. And it's just a cool song. It's a cool song, Freezer, in the eighth place. Not a bad song at all. Um, then you got in the seventh place, I've put Don't Apply the Brake, which is a great song title. Um, It's a really good song. It has some really good guitar riffs. They're kind of heavy, I gotta say. And you have a very, very, very catchy chorus, which is one of the reasons why it's above Freezer and above Here You Go. I just forgot that title for a second. But that's why it's in the seventh place and not the eighth or ninth place. And another reason is that you got some pretty cool guitar solo. I kind of like the pop punky parts in the guitar solo too, but it's because of that super catchy chorus. Then in the sixth place you got "Shake That." I think it's the last song as far as I remember on the album. This is a hard rocker. It's kind of quite heavy actually. You got some very cool guitar riffs. You got a catchy chorus, and there's some cool kind of just falsetto that Saiki does in the end of the chorus, which I kind of like. Instead of going into a heavy metal scream, she goes into a falsetto. I think that's interesting. Um, I think it's a great song. The reason why it's in the sixth place and not lower is that you got some heavy metal style, in my opinion, riffs in the bridge, and I am a fan of heavy metal. So there you go. Uh, Now we're kind of at the middle now. In the fifth place, you got Real Existence. Um, This is also a heavier song. It's kind of groovy as well. You got some absolutely fantastic vocal melodies in the verse, and you got a super catchy chorus. And I like that about these early mini albums. The choruses are just awesome. What makes this particularly cool to me is that in the guitar solo, you got some kind of like groove southern rock parts intertwined with thrash metal parts. Yes, you got some bursts of thrash metal in the guitar solo in the rhythm section. And I have always loved that. That's why it's, you know, above all the other songs I've mentioned so far. Um, then you have in the fourth place, you got Beauty and the Beast. I think this is actually an awesome, fantastic, brilliant song. It's kind of a power metal song in a way. It's very up tempo, but then in the verse, they go into like funk metal and funk rock, and you even have some rap in the lead vocals. And this, by the way, is a Kubato song, which is cool too. So it's a super memorable song, probably one of the most memorable songs on the album, which is full of memorable songs. So that's kind of difficult or tricky there. Uh, but what I really love about this song, it's fantastic from beginning to end, is that you got a mini bridge towards the end, which also just goes into thrash metal, and I've always loved that. So there you go. That's why it's in the fourth place. It's narrowly beaten in the third place by Don't Let Me Down. It's got a groovy riff. It's kind of a heavy and aggressive song. It's maybe not as complex, as it were, as Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast, I think, is probably a better song. But Don't Let Me Down has one of the best chorus lines on these three mini albums. I think maybe this might be a hot take, maybe one of the best chorus lines in a Band-Maid song altogether. It's just such a catchy, memorable chorus. And you also have like naughty lyrics. There's a little bit sleazy in that way. So there you go. I love that song. And again, maybe surprising here. In the second place, you have Price of Pride. I think this is probably the poppiest song on the album, and it's probably also the cheesiest song on the album. Um, it is a fun song. You got some catchy ska elements in the verse, but what makes me place it in the second place, that is the guitar theme in the beginning, and it pops up throughout the song, which is just a great guitar melody, and you even got some really cool pinch harmonics, and that just trumps everything else, I think. Uh, it's fantastic. Just that part, that guitar part, I think is fantastic, catchy, memorable. Um, Price of Pride. That's why it's in the second place. It is poppy. It is cheesy. It's fun, you know. So there you go. In the first place, again, by far the best song on the album, I think. Um, maybe I don't know. Maybe Thrill and Beauty and the Beast. Maybe I think they're equally good. They're very different though. Um, but Thrill in the first place. It's a groovy song, it's funky, it's hard rock. You got some excellent bass work, there's a cool funky bass solo, and you got some great vocal melodies that are catchy, and you got a bit of back and forth and the vocals again, Kubato and Saiki, and you got a great guitar solo in this song. And the reason why it is in the first place, in addition to being maybe along with Beauty and the Beast, the best song on the album. This was the first Band-Maid song I ever heard. Like so many other people, I watched the music video, and I had I had seen a concert poster for a show they did, I guess, with a picture of him, and I thought, what the hell is this? They're wearing maids costumes. This has to be a gimmicky band. So I decided I better check him out. So I think I Googled it and, Band-Maid, the first one was Thrill. I clicked play and you get those like, um, shots of their faces and they say break new gate. And I thought I'm gonna be in for a cheese fest, ain't I? And then the song kicked in and it was fantastic and it won me over immediately. So this was the first Band-Maid song I heard, got me hooked completely. So that's why it's in the first place. Uh, all other reasons aside, that's why. So there you go, New Beginning. I think it's a great album or mini album. Overall, it doesn't. I think it deserves more praise and more recognition than it gets. I gotta be honest. And let's move on to the last mini album where I'm gonna rank the songs. This is from 2016. This is brand new Maid. 8 songs in this. I think it's interesting. They're called mini albums, and they all have like 8 songs, and one of them even has 9 songs on it. So obviously, what counts as a full album and a mini album has changed quite a bit from the 80s when a full album would have like 8 songs, sometimes 7 songs. If you were lucky, maybe 9 songs. In any case, let's get to it. At the bottom, in the eighth place, you got "Look at Me." I think it's a I think it's a great song actually. It's a groovy hard rock song. You got a very simple but very catchy chorus. Um, but I think maybe it's kind of low key, if you know what I mean, compared to the rest of the album. It's not as outstanding as it were, but there is one outstanding part to it that does kind of shine, and that's the bridge, because that kind of changes completely into kind of more of a 70s uh, hard rock style. So I think that's actually very cool. But overall, it's a good song. Look at me. Uh, the next song, the seventh, or in the seventh place, you got Brand New Road. That's kind of a slower hard rock song. You also have 70s rock vibes here. Um, it's perhaps also a little bit low key, but what makes me place it above Look at Me is first of all, there's a kind of a fun jazz section, kind of a swing jazz with a cool little guitar, sorry, bass solo. And then you have as almost like a contrast to that, you have a really hard rocking guitar solo. So maybe Brand New Road, a little bit more interesting than Look at Me, but they're both, good songs. The next one is Yuragu. This one has, I would say, kind of a metal style riff, the main riff, and I actually really like that main riff because it's also a little bit unusual compared to a lot of the other riffage on the album. And you also have more like metal style drumming on here. Uh, the song has a great build up, but maybe it's just a little bit less memorable than the ones that I've ranked above it. Not bad. I actually really love that metallic style riffage. Um, so in the fifth place, just above Yuragu, you got Freedom. This one, I would say, it has some all-out heavy metal style riffage, and it even has a bit of a motorcycle, highway metal song vibe to it, if you know what I mean. What makes me rank this one above all the other songs I've mentioned so far is, you guessed it, the disco drum beat in the chorus. It's a catchy song overall, so it's a great song. I love it. Fifth place. Then you have in the fourth place, I don't know if it's a surprise to some people that I ranked this song this high. Before Yesterday, it's a very melancholic song, borderline ballad perhaps, kind of a pop punk song too. It has a very, very, very haunting chorus, which is one of the reasons why I rank it this highly. I just love the chorus. There's a kind of a sad sounding chorus too. And it has a nice little bridge, which is groovy, changing things up a little bit. It's actually a really, really, really good song, I think. So in the fourth place, you got Before Yesterday. So now, top three. In the third place, you got Order. That's another kind of groovy song with a simple but memorable riff. And this one has uh, some cool double bass drum work, which I think challenged Akane quite a lot at the time. but it is also a reflection of how she started to develop as a drummer into the absolutely fantastically skilled drummer that she is today. So I kind of appreciate that double bass drum work, although it's simpler than what she does now. You got some really cool, and I mean cool, vocals on here as well. And I like that you got a funky bass solo on it too, and you got a really cool bridge overall. It is the cool factor to this song that makes me rank it in the third place. I also think, you know, uh, there's some parts of it where they sing in English, and at some point she sings, Psyche does, "I want to be with you, give me a rest." But because she sings it naturally, there's nothing wrong with that in a Japanese accent. For the longest time, I thought she was singing, "I want to be with you. Give me a list." I was like, "A list? A list of what? Things I have to do for her to be with me? What's going on there?" But uh, it's "Give me a rest." I just thought that's a funny observation, and I think it's cool they sing in Japanese, and I think it's cool they have like English parts, and I think I always like it when they sing and with their own accent and stuff. I think it's cool. It's not a critique at all. It's just a funny observation. That takes us to the top two. In the second place, you got the non-fiction days. This is kind of a heavy song with lots of heavy metal styled riffs, in my opinion. But you got a pre-chorus that is kind of poppier and a little bit catchier in that sense. And you got just an absolutely fantastic chorus melody, like the vocal melody in the chorus. And it's a fantastic song because of that mix of just metal stuff and more poppy and catchy vocal melodies. The Nonfiction Days is an awesome song. I do love that song. Fantastic song. That takes us to number one, Alone. And of course, this is an important song. This was the first song that they had composed themselves that they were allowed to use. It was written by Konami. And I think it is the best song on the album. It's an album or mini album that's full of really awesome and fantastic songs. But Alone, I still think is miles above all the other songs on it because it starts out with um, a guitar theme, like a lead guitar melody, with twin harmonies, like twin guitar lead harmonies. I'm a sucker for that. I love that. Iron Maiden, Thin Lizzy. So obviously, already there, the song has won. It's beaten everything else. Um, and it's kind of a little bit moody as well. So you got some different emotionalities going on. It appeals to different, um, I guess, aspects of the uh, I don't know, gamut of human emotions, I guess. There's some uplifting stuff, there's some more melancholic stuff, some happy stuff, and, so on and so forth. Really love the chorus, and it's just a great song. It is miles above the other songs, and I mean, this song did show that they know how to write their own music. Just let them do it. And so there you go, brand new made my ranking of those songs. So yeah, like I said, take everything with a grain of salt here because it is artificial, I think, for me to start picking out these very, very small details to try and justify why one song should rank above another when I actually like those songs equally much. But there you go. Another failed attempt, a miserable attempt at making a video I don't normally make on these channels, a song ranking video. This is probably going to be the last ranking video I ever make on this channel. There might be some ranking elements in other videos every now and then, but I don't like doing this sort of ranking. So there you go. I tried it. I failed. I sucked. Whatever. Thanks for watching.